What's up, everybody? This is Jeff Sintel, DogNation.com. Folks, it was a great day to, cover the Georgia Bulldogs today here on Dog Nation. Georgia picked up. What's up, everybody?
By
this
my
is Jeff
count,
Sintel.
I think
it was the 39th five-star commitment or signee portal for Georgia since the five-star commitment since Kirby Smart became the head coach in Athens in December of 2015. Smael Mondon Jr., still the number one linebacker in the country. Number two, that's for 24/7 Sports, the number two overall linebacker for on the 24/7 Sports composite. Got a chance to visit with him today. Got a chance to, you guys were with us as we saw him make his college commitment, saw him do the little Russian nesting doll, babushka doll type trick. As we saw all that take place for today at Paulding County High School. Big day, fun day, good to be a part of that. That was way earlier in the day. I also spent my day on the road, got to visit a couple of Georgia commits, including one major five-star commit at the same time in Brock Vandegrift. That was a good trip to Bogart, Georgia as well. But the man of the hour, the man of the day so far is Smael Mondon Jr., the five-star linebacker out of Paulding County High School in Dallas, Georgia. If you guys had to get some work done today, if you guys were not able to hang around when we caught Smael for a one-on-one interview at the end of his commitment ceremony, well, you're in for a treat because you'll get to see it right now. Dog Nation, the newly minted Georgia Bulldog commit, Smael Mondon. We spoke to him right after his big day. For you,
it was surreal. It's a blessing, just taking it in still.
I think you said a couple of times in your remarks that consistency was really big. Can you explain what consistently looks like, or the consistency that landed your commitment? What did that look like day in and week out?
Just the top defense, year in and year out, and then consistent recruitment. Like the communication with me and Georgia never fell off at one point. Just stayed consistent throughout the whole process.
How would you describe the way Glenn Schumann recruited you? Maybe differently than others, or did he have his own style?
Every school really recruits differently, but his was good. He did a good job.
Anything that stand out? What do you think were his best things that he did that really impressed you?
He just didn't try to do too much or try to promise anything he couldn't promise. There's a lot of lies in the recruiting process. He stayed honest throughout the whole thing.
What did Kirby Smart, when you told him, when he learned? Usually what happens is you commit to your assistant or the head coach, and then they pass the phone around. What was yours like, and what was Kirby's reaction?
I committed to, I told Schumann I was committed first, and then after that I told Kirby Smart. But they were just happy. It was a good reaction.
Now, I spoke to your sister earlier, just a minute ago. She said she has the big mouth of the family, and nobody told her until this morning. What was that like when you saw her show up in red today?
Yeah, I didn't tell. The only people in my family that knew were my mom, dad, and my brother. Yeah, I tried to keep it with my sister.
Any shout-outs to your grandmother way out in the Ivory Coast?
Yeah, shout-outs to grandma.
Is this what you thought it would be, or was it the best you could make of it? What was this like for you? Kind of like what you pictured?
I never been through the recruiting process, or nobody I know ever been through it, so I didn't know what to think of. I just been taking it in because of it.
Smael, this is a different year. Are you done? Are you going to talk to any other schools? Are you shut down? Have you been shut down? What's the right answer for you to that question?
The right answer for me, I'm shut down. The recruiting process shut down.
What does it feel like to be a part of this Georgia class? I think you're the third five-star, and I think if memory counts, I think you're the 39th five-star to choose Georgia since Kirby Smart came around. What's it like to be a part of this program now?
It feels great. It feels great to be a part of the program.
And your sister told me that she helped you with your speech. What sort of role did she play in helping you you nailed your speech, by the way. How helpful was she for that?
Yeah, she was real helpful for it. I couldn't have done without it.
Smael, any message out there for the fans? What can the Georgia people come to expect? What will they come to expect from you as a Georgia Bulldog?
As a Georgia Bulldog, all smiles.
If I would have told you 6 months ago you were going to go to Georgia, what would you have said? Was Georgia the leader 6 months ago, or how did they take this thing?
Nah, it was a couple different leaders throughout the whole process.
So if it was like a football game, who was the first leader, who was the second, and then how did Georgia win it out in the end?
First leader probably started off Georgia, and then Clemson, LSU, Tennessee, and Auburn, and then back to Georgia.
You will enroll in January. What's the plan? You know when you're going to show up in January yet? What's the plan look like?
No, I'm not sure about all the details yet. I just know I'm enrolling in January.
Smael, thank you for your time, man. 5-star linebacker, Paulding County High School. It wasn't as chilly as we thought it was. Thank you for your time today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, guys. I guess I was probably, like the rest of you guys, kind of relishing in the fact that a Georgia Bulldog basketball player just went number 1 overall in the NBA draft. That was Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man. Pick today, number 1 overall pick. I'm sure that's a great moment for Tom Crean and his basketball program. Our show tonight, we obviously want to take a few minutes and talk about Smael Mondon Jr. You saw that commitment ceremony right there. You saw our interview with Smael right after the commitment ceremonies. Let me just roll through a couple of things that stood out. On Before the Hedges tonight, brought to you every Wednesday night by Kroger. So he said Auburn finished second. He said at one point his leader was Georgia, and then it moved to Auburn, and then it moved back to Georgia. Consistency, especially some great work here by Georgia inside linebackers coach Glenn Schumann, kind of won the day for the Bulldogs here. Consistency was very big there for the versatile player. He's ranked as an outside linebacker prospect. He will be an inside linebacker at Georgia. He told me, you guys heard in that interview, that he is shut down. He is not going to entertain any more calls or Zooms from any other schools. His season was abruptly cut short by a slight knee injury where he had a meniscus tear. He had that repaired. Smael Mondon and the Paulding County coaching staff tell me that it shouldn't be a hindrance, as he should be almost pretty much ready to get after it and start maybe in the early mid-January, late January workouts when he enrolls early at Georgia. Smael Mondon Jr. becomes the third 5-star for the 2021 class at Georgia. His commitment pushed Georgia up to number 5 overall in the country on the 24/7 Sports team composite rankings. As you saw in our tease tonight, our headline tonight on our show, we had a couple of big things we're going to get to a little bit about. There were some rankings adjustments today for 24/7 Sports. I think rivals will adjust their rankings sometime in the near future, where you'll see a lot of guys getting their senior year bumps or your senior year kind of breaks to their recruiting rankings as well. But that's something that we pointed out, and we're going to discuss a little bit about that as we go forward in the show. Some interesting things there. I think the big thing everybody noticed is Georgia moves up to number 5. Georgia still only has 19 public commitments. I think they can take maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 more. It seems Kirby Smart and the staff always finds a way to find an extra scholarship or two. Will be pretty hard to do this time, though, in the COVID-19 and the free scholarships area, where everybody gets a free year for 2020. And there are rumors, there are things going on. There will be some transfer portal action for the Bulldogs, both inbound and outbound for the Georgia Bulldogs. That'd be something to monitor over the next couple of months of the season. But Smael Mondon Jr., it was interesting. You saw that. I'm sure we've got some clips of the play-by-play there for Smael, how his little twist to his recruiting is he had 2 different Georgia hats. He had a Georgia hat right in front of him at the podium. He had an LSU hat off to his far right, and he reaches for the LSU hat, and underneath the LSU hat is the University of Georgia lid. I tweeted out a picture of that recently on my Twitter account, but it was a good day for Georgia picking up Smael Mondon Jr. Lots of people were around, and just a quick little overview of that ceremony. I've been to a lot of them so far covering the University of Georgia recruiting. Never one quite like that, though. It was early in the morning. Social distancing was prevalent. It was about 40 degrees outside, I think, and we did it outside with masks on the field of Paulding County High School. It was a different commitment ceremony, to say the least. But it certainly got the attention of a lot of Georgia fans as Georgia picked up their third five-star commitment for the class of 2021. As always, guys, I'm Jeff Sintel. Thank you, everybody, for YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for Facebook for joining us. Hope everybody's enjoying the broadcast tonight. If you're enjoying anything so far, if you feel, hello, that's our golden doodle, Peaches. If somebody walks by, she's barking. I guess she was really happy about Smael Mondon Jr. committing to Georgia on this day as well. Also neat to know that Smael Mondon picked out the day of his grandmother, Helen Tape's birthday. Helen Tape is out in West Africa. She lives in the Ivory Coast, and they decided to schedule and make his college commitment today of all days because it was her 87th birthday. That's a really neat, very interesting, very, very heartfelt story right there. So Smael Mondon Jr. is now Bulldog. That's the big news of the day. As always, our program is brought to you by Kroger. If you're looking for Before the Hedges down the road, Before the Hedges, after it becomes a live stream on Facebook and a live stream on YouTube, it becomes a podcast, which you can find on the Apple podcast platform, also Spotify, also SoundCloud, or wherever your favorite podcast hookup may be. Good night tonight. We've got a couple things to go over. We got to go over the commitment board, a change to the top targets. But first and foremost, it's time to hear a word from our sponsor, Kroger, the latest on going Krogering in the Atlanta metro area or wherever your nearby Kroger might be.
We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but first, a quick word from Kroger. Kroger has made shopping for the groceries and household essential items that you need even easier by offering free pickup. Just shop online, choose a pickup time convenient for you, and Kroger will carefully pick out your order and bring it to your vehicle when you arrive. So the next time you're ready to shop at Kroger, take advantage of the free pickup. It's just another way that Kroger is fresh for everyone.
There you have it. Never, ever. I know most folks can't never get tired of seeing that commercial each and every week on Before the Hedges with our very own Brandon Adams. Another bit of news we wanted to get to for tonight was there was some rankings fluctuation in the class of 2021. There are a couple of highlights. I think there's about 3 or 4 highlights for someone with a Georgia state of mind. We're looking at the 2021 recruiting rankings. First off, guys, I think I've said this before. I've said it on our forum.dognation.com, that this is a different cycle where you're going to have a lot of I just don't think the rankings are going to stick. They're going to feel right. There's not going to be enough evaluation. You didn't really get those camps in the summer at the opening and the opening regionals because of the pandemic. You didn't really get those camps where you had a chance to see good on good, the very best players in the country going up against one another. But the rankings, I believe, will continue to fluctuate. But a couple of highlights I wanted to point out to you right now is Amarius Mims, the highest rated Georgia commitment at this time, moved up 1 spot to the nation's number 2 offensive tackle and also the nation's number 6 prospect. Guy that big ups, big fan of his game, Terrion Arnold, the Georgia target, a lot of Alabama, a lot of Florida as well with Terrion Arnold. He moved up 38 spots to the number 1 safety in the country and the number 26 overall prospect for 24/7 Sports. Big jump there for Terrion Arnold. He should continue to climb in the composite as well. But Terrion Arnold is now the nation's number 1 safety. And, folks, that's kind of the way I felt about Terrion Arnold and his game for quite some time. Georgia had a huge mover as well in Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. He moved up to the nation's number 10 defensive tackle on the 24/7 Sports composite, and he jumped up 29 spots overall. Now he's the top 150 prospect at 149 overall. If you look at what he did on the pure isolated 24/7 Sports ranking, that was even more impressive. Ingram Dawkins moved up 66 spots to the nation's number 2 defensive tackle and the number 20 overall recruit for the country, committed to the Georgia Bulldogs, and South Carolina native Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. I guess another headline here, got to make sure you know about this one, is another Georgia prospect picked up their 4th star. This time it was Kamari Lassiter, the brilliant, versatile athletic cornerback out of American Christian in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He picked up his 4th star, and he moved up to the nation's number 20 cornerback on the 24/7 Sports composite. Kamari Lassiter jumped up something like 70, 80 spots, going from number 280 and going from number 355 in the country to number 280 or so on the 24/7 Sports composite. A lot of interesting things to take a look at there in terms of ranking season. While we're at it, we've got all these rankings on our mind. Let's roll through something we always take a look at each week. Those are the top targets for Georgia in the class of 2021. Now, this list is trimmed down a little bit. It's seen a couple of guys like Tyrion Ingram Dawkins and now Smael Mondon Jr. today, kind of thin things out. We've got an update to that this week. The new number 8, we still have 8 targets here. And folks, I want to tell you, there are 8 targets on the board, and I don't think Georgia's going to get all 8 of these targets, but still, this is the best blend. Excuse me. This is the best blend of guys who have strong interest in Georgia. Georgia has strong interest in them. Sure, other schools are vying for these guys as well, but Georgia has a definite need. These are the type of players I think that Georgia can fill out their class and fill out their roster with. At number 8, we wrote about him this week on Dog Nation. Certainly hope all of you got a chance to see it. It says Georgia Military College graduate Byron Young. Byron's 22 years old. And guys, when he came out of high school, he didn't want to go. He didn't really have the grades for the big boys. And he wasn't really feeling of going to a junior college either. So what did he do? He just jumped into the working world. He had a real normal retail time card, punch the clock type job. Byron Young was actually an assistant manager at Dollar General. And his family has now moved from South Carolina to the Columbus area. Byron Young, it's one of those stories that just makes you happy to see things like that happen to this young man. Georgia Military College folks told me that he's one of the top 10 players in terms of checking all the boxes they've had in the last 23 years or so of that program. Physical specimen, really fast, really explosive. Byron Young, get this, guys, he didn't have a junior college season because those were postponed until the spring. He still has no stars. He still has no rankings, but in late October, when he started sending out scrimmage film, the junior colleges were allowed to have 60 practice days and up to 3 scrimmages this fall. And he started sending out his practice film and his scrimmage film, and it caught everybody's eyes. Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, LSU. And those offers came, and all of a sudden he's in a much different world in terms of his future in college football. No stars, no rankings. I think I wrote this phrase, no problem for Byron Young. Really good guy to talk to. A lot of the folks at Georgia Military College, that's where DJ Daniel came from. Everybody remembers Kendrell Bell. That's where he came from. Those coaches there on that staff were standing up on the table for Byron Young. He is now number 8. He's a defensive outside linebacker target on this week's edition of Top Targets. Number 7 is Malik McCain. That's the FSU commit, plays wide receiver, plays for IMG Academy right now. It looks like IMG Academy is on the way to that mythical national high school championship. Number 6 is 4-star running back Donovan Edwards. We've spoken about him a lot. Did you guys see what he did last week? We don't have him in your top in our top tweets on our online chatter for this week, but Donovan Edwards, get this, folks. He had 6 touchdowns in the first half for his West Bloomfield Lakers. That was quite an achievement. Number 5 is Mason Smith out of Houma, Louisiana, the Terrebonne High School. Number 4 is Xavier Sorey Jr. out of Graceville, Florida. He's actually now at IMG Academy as well. Number 3 is Nyland Green out of Newton and Covington, Georgia. Nyland, you hear a lot of things with him about Tennessee. Georgia certainly sounds like it's in a fight there to try and keep Nyland Green in state with the Tennessee Volunteers. Number 2 is Corey Foreman out of Corona, California, the Centennial High School product, 5-star. And number 1, we mentioned him earlier today, 4-star safety Terrion Arnold out of John Paul II Catholic in Tallahassee, Florida. Terrion Arnold. Rolling right through, you guys are used to seeing all this stuff together in bunches, so we'll just keep that tempo going. Xavier Sori is an expected announced decision timeline sometime over the next month, maybe in the rest of November. Shamar Turner, don't know how big of a chance Georgia still has with Shamar now, but Nyland Green, Donovan Edwards is in December. Mason Smith is in December. These are the anticipated decision timelines for a bunch of priority Georgia targets. Byron Young is probably going to do his December 16, 17, 18, one of those 3 days. That's when the junior college guys can sign as well. Hearing a lot of Auburn with him and also a lot of Tennessee. He's taken virtual visits to those schools. And when I spoke to Byron Young earlier this week, he was contemplating checking out that Auburn-Tennessee game because those are 2 of his top schools. Georgia is also in his top schools. Byron Young also told me that he was going to send out his top 5 and release his top 5 at the end of this month. Corey Foreman, lots of people in the industry think he might go ahead and he might go ahead and make his decision during the early signing period. I don't really know about that. If I had to me, it still seems like this is a guy that will likely take the longer route to the traditional national signing day. Doesn't really have to hurry. And then Terrion Arnold, very likely the traditional national signing day as well. You guys can hear me in the home office, in the home studio right now. I've got a daughter coming back from volleyball practice. I got a son coming back from basketball practice. They got their favorite food on the go items in their hands. They're making a little bit of noise. At least our dog Peaches is not barking anymore as well. One other thing I wanted to share with you guys, 2 more things actually. 2 more things actually would be the number of the commits for Georgia is now up to 19. Georgia moved up to number 5 nationally, as we said earlier. Taking a look, we kind of went through some of these guys on the commitment board. You see Marius Mims there, Georgia commit. He's moved up 1 overall, the number 2 offensive tackle, the number 6 overall prospect. Brock Vandegrift, his ranking stayed the same. Smael Mondon Jr. That's a new listing in there in the Georgia 2021 recruiting board. Nation's number 2 outside linebacker, number 25 overall prospect. You see Micah Morris, his rankings went down. David Daniel had a slight dip. Dylan Fairchild actually moved up to the number 90 overall prospect. That's the guard for the Bulldog. Dylan was actually honored tonight as an All-American Bowl participant as well. Brock Bowers, who came in for one of those self-guided visits, self-guided independent visits. He and his family actually bought a few tickets to the Georgia-Auburn game and attended the Georgia-Auburn game as well. Lavassier Carroll, he's actually moved up 1 spot. Jonathan Jefferson has moved up out of Douglasville. Georgia has moved up 3 spots. You see the big jump there, up 29 spots for Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. Jamon Dumas Johnson, the talented inside linebacker out of Baltimore, Maryland. His rankings dipped 8 spots. Dejon Nugget Warren stayed the same. Chaz Chambliss actually moved up 2 spots in the overall, but dropped 1 spot in the outside linebacker rankings. You see the big boost there for Kamari Lassiter. He went from the nation's number 26 corner, the nation's number 20 corner. He moved up 74 spots to he's now in the 280 range. I think the graphic you're seeing right there has him at 355. He's now in the 280 range. Donnie Mitchell is the wide receiver commitment as well. Jared Wilson, Marlon Dean, Javon Bullard, and Jackson Meeks. Smael Mondon's decision now makes it 9 in-state commitments for Georgia for the 2021 cycle. There's still 10 out-of-state commitments for Georgia in the 2021 cycle. 16 of those commitments are in the SEC footprint. 3 of those are beyond the SEC footprint as the Georgia 2021 class comes together. You guys got a question? Facebook, how are you doing tonight? YouTube, how are you doing tonight? Want to make sure you guys have a question. Feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll I'm almost at the point where I'm going to come by and get to all of those as well. A few things of online chatter I want to show you guys. Let's first take a lap around the bases of all the Smael Mondon tweets that dropped today. I think one of my favorites. You got the traditional "Go Dogs" from Kirby Smart. It's kind of just what it is. It's the traditional go-to from Kirby Smart. Glenn Schumann had one, which was a GIF of The Rock from WWE. I think one thing that's different about the 2021 cycle, no Sam Pittman anymore. He's in Arkansas. Some of those fun, interactive tweets are gone now. The clever way Sam Pittman used to do it. Give Todd Hartley props a little bit for how he created a Barry Bonds type big splash home run GIF for when Brock Bowers committed. You see Glenn Schumann. You see other folks inside the Georgia 2021 recruiting class. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins had a shout out. He threw a message in Smael Mondon Jr.'s way. Marius Mims had a tweet. We don't have it for you today, but he'd really been working on trying to reel that guy in. That's 5-star on 5-star recruiting right there. Smael Mondon had a tweet where he celebrated his commitment as well. So a lot of things going on there with Smael Mondon, Kirby Smart, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins as well. One of the things I wanted to point out to you, we mentioned it earlier about Dylan Fairchild. Dylan Fairchild and Tyrion Ingram Dawkins are actually both being honored tonight, pretty much right now as we speak, by the All-American Bowl on YouTube by NBC Sports for their selections as All-Americans in this weird year of the 2021 pandemic recruiting cycle. See if I can hop on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure we can get a couple of questions. Everybody doing all right tonight? How's everybody doing tonight? Is everybody kind of fired up by Ant-Man going number 1 overall? Pulling up Facebook now, YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun tonight. What's everybody doing tonight? Anybody doing anything? Who was watching live with us this morning from dognation.com? Who was watching live? What'd you guys think of the ceremony? Was kind of interesting seeing now all that take place from outside the on the field at Paulding County High School. Ace Dog, good question. So Ace Dog, I don't simply rank on my top targets list. I don't rank these guys basically simply by how high they're rated. I think that's out there in the recruiting space. What I think is I have a kind of a matrix where I go by where it's a combination of need, ability, overall playing style, but also mutual attention, mutual affection. You've got Mason Smith, whose rankings actually tumbled just a little bit in the latest update. Ace Dog. Mason Smith's going to be an awfully hard pull out of LSU, even with all the issues right now with LSU, with off the field, some of the things inside the program, all the guys opting out. The package deal there with Corey Foreman is also something to consider there with Mason Smith. But Ace, man, trust me on this one. Terrion Arnold is at number 1 overall for a reason. I had Terrion Arnold number 1 for basically the last 6 or 7 months, because when I look at Terrion Arnold, folks, I think of a slightly bigger, maybe more athletic, slightly better ball skills, Richard LeCount III. Now, of course, he's not going to love Georgia, and he's not going to be a down south Georgia boy like Richard LeCount. Nobody can be that. But in terms of a prospect, in terms of the ability I see on tape, I covered one of his games earlier this fall. He took that sucker over. He was brilliant. And then everybody told me it was basically the type of things he does every week. Cody Ledoux's calling his shot. He says UGA ends perfect with Corey Foreman, Mason Smith, Xavier Sorey, Terry and Arnold, Nyland Green, Smael Mondon, and Donovan Edwards. He said that would only be good for third. Keith Simmons, we mentioned Byron Young as well. Ace Dog played on it as a freshman. Well, good for you guys. I'm trying to keep everybody updated. If I see some questions, I see some questions, I will. Yeah, Noah Sheldon brings up a point here, guys, and keep the questions coming because I like this. Add some more momentum to the back end of our show. But I kind of looked at this about 6 months ago, and I said, no James Williams, no problem, as long as Georgia can add Terry and Arnold. You hear a little bit of Miami now with him, but to me, I do feel that Florida has made a push now. That impression they made with the game, especially how maybe Georgia's defensive backs took it on the chin as well. I think maybe Georgia's position with Terry and Arnold and Xavier Sorey isn't quite as cozy as maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. I think that will be, in short, I think that will be a very contested recruitment the rest of the way. Reminder, you mentioned Xavier Sorey earlier. Xavier Sorey is also, those two guys are really tight, and they do want to play together in college. Everybody having a good night. I want to make sure if you guys have a question or comment that I make sure I get to it. It's been a long day. Love my job though, but I think I was up bright and early at about 5:30 a.m. Getting out to Smael Mondonville in Paulding County in advance of his ceremony. John Green has a question. John, I think that the biggest diamond in the rough right now is the inside linebacker out of Wayne County in Jessup. He's currently committed to Boston College, Trevin Wallace. Really athletic tracks guy, really fast guy, 4.5 guy. That's a name that I think is on the radar for the University of Georgia as well, especially if they can't close with Xavier Sorey. That's a name that I would that comes to mind. Corey York, I would say that your question there is, I think that's something that could potentially happen in this cycle. How's everybody feel? I want to make sure I get the pulse of you guys. How does everybody feel about black jerseys this weekend? Do you like it? Do you not like it? How does everybody feel about I'm sure this is your conversations with Brandon and Mike and Connor have been about this all week, but I want to know how you guys think. Are you good with the black jerseys? Do you need to see JT Daniels and see what he can do? Or those are the things that are really on your mind right now? Little hint I'm going to tell you right now. I'd look for key members of future classes, 2022 classes, 2023 classes. I'd look for those guys to find a way to be in Athens this weekend, continuing to build momentum, very strong momentum in both of those classes, and also maybe find a way to get a chance to watch the Dogs play as well. Desmond Lee, how are you? Thank you for joining as well. What does everybody, I want to know what everybody thinks right now. If I can give you 3 recruits to close with in the 2021 class, who would you like those to be? I'll start out first. I think the ideal close for Georgia would have to be involving Mason Smith, Corey Foreman, and Terry and Arnold. Good question from a bunch of guys. Sheldon Tucker looks for JT to play no more than 1 quarter. Pat McDaniel thinks the jerseys will help in recruiting. Let me see. Trey Kofer. He says on the black jersey subject, he feels the program needs to use them for at least one game a season. Trey, I wouldn't mind it if they get into a normal thing where it's not anything special. It's just tradition. Kirby Smart makes the points that jerseys should not be the impetus for motivation to play well. He just wants you to play well because you're at the University of Georgia and facing a Southeastern Conference opponent. I would like to see Connor Ryan and I were actually talking about this on the way to Paulding County this morning, but I'd like to see Georgia's first road game, to see Georgia wear those red pants and those white jerseys that they wore against Arkansas, kind of an homage to that 80 season and those unique road uniforms they wear. I'd also like to see the last home game of the year, or maybe the last SEC home game of the year, be a black jersey type game. I think that would just be really a neat little subject to start things off. Brian Marcoulier, if I remember correctly, he is one of our veterans we chose to honor last week, and we're still very thankful for his service. But he had a question about Gunnar Stockton. And what do I see happening there with Gunnar Stockton? Well, first of all, I don't see anything happening with Gunnar Stockton until his high school season is over with. Gunnar Stockton is one of those young men that likes to keep the main thing the main thing. And for him, the main thing would be Raven County High School chasing a Class 2A state championship. I think that's going to be at the forefront of his mind. The best relationship for Gunnar Stockton and his family is still Mike Bobo at South Carolina. Coach Bobo is still the interim head coach at South Carolina, and I think you got to kind of wait and see what happens there. Maybe get through the season, see what South Carolina does with its head coach. Does the new head coach retain Bobo? And also Connor Shaw, who's now the quarterback's coach under Mike Bobo at South Carolina. If those things happen, I think that would give South Carolina a really great shot at retaining Gunnar Stockton's commitment. If those things do not happen, then I would think Georgia would be a team to really look strongly at there, because they would have the best remaining relationship on the table. Noah Sheldon's got a question. Noah, I think the backup plan behind Arnold would be a current safety out of Mississippi. That's the Sabatini, Eli Sabatini. Kenneth Wiggins, you know what we're talking about. That's one of the backup plans at safety to think about as well. I think there are a couple of others. It's kind of not the way Georgia recruits, though. Chad Buchanan makes a point with his top fan status, sir. He wants to see Georgia get up fairly big, and be nice to see Carson Beck get some reps. Cody Taylor bringing up something we spoke about a little bit a moment ago. Ant-Man is now a Minnesota Timberwolf. Bob Fichetti, hope I got your name right there, sir. Yes, on the black jersey and Daniels to play. He feels that they need to pick up finally for this program after the Florida embarrassment. I think the word I have for it is a tumor, and it's the ineffective quarterback play. Georgia needs to exercise that demon. They need to cut out that tumor, and they need to kind of heal and move forward, because I think the hiccups on offense are kind of stagnating the program. It's kind of just a dark cloud over a lot of things. It's led to a lot of fans have told me that it's just hard to get excited about Georgia football as easily as it was in the past, with the current misfiring at the quarterback position and the offensive stagnation. All right, guys. Facebook, good hanging out with you guys tonight. YouTube, good hanging out with you guys tonight. Let me see if I can make a couple more trips around, see if I can gather up any more questions. Hope everybody's having a good night. Nigel Combs, I like your question here, Nigel. On YouTube, which not so highly ranked recruit do I think will have a big impact? Well, I think Kamari Lassiter will have a big impact. But my name is Javon Bullard. That guy is a bona fide South Georgia, I guess we'd call it middle Georgia ball player. making catches on offense, striking guys on defense. I think he's going to turn out to be a splendid addition. Ace Dog. What is that? Is that from Kindergarten Cop? It's not a Tuma. Good movie. Guys, it was fun today. I got a chance to hang out with a 5-star on his way to Georgia. That's Smael Mondon Jr. Then I was in Bogart today. Like I told you guys earlier at the top of the show, got to watch Brock Vandegrift practice, working on a couple of Dog Nation projects there regarding Brock. But really fun times today. Had a lot of 5-stars in my windshield, front and center. Hope everybody's having themselves a good night. Hope everybody's enjoying some of the content we brought to you guys today on Dog Nation. I'm Jeff Sintel. Tomorrow you got Brandon Adams at 10 a.m. You got our Cover 4 live going at 7:30 a.m. Lots of stories and everything else like that in between. I'm also on the road again tomorrow to check out another 5-star prospect as well for you folks at Dog Nation. Been on the road a lot lately, I guess. It certainly feels that way. But as always, another Wednesday night. We've went before the Hedges. We've talked about Smael Mondon. We've talked about Brock Vandegrift a little bit. We've discussed the rankings tweaks for some major Georgia target in Terrion Arnold, but also Kamari Lassiter picking up his 4-star. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins getting a big boost as well, and also Marius Mims moving up just a little bit in the among the nation's top 10 players as well. You want some good news to leave this broadcast, and maybe that'll be something that I can get a hoorah or a go Dogs or a go Dog Nation from all you guys. I was talking to Brock Vandegrift today, and he said that he's figured out his roommate. His roommate will be Marius Mims. Those two guys are going to room together. Doesn't that just sound perfect for Georgia in the future of the 2021 class? Marius Mims and Brock Vandegrift rooming together. Of course, that does mean that Marius Mims will be enrolling early along with Brock Vandegrift as well. Going to be very interesting for a lot of high school players in the state of Georgia. Just want to touch on this really briefly. With the pandemic and all the schedules being backed up, it looks like the 28th and the 29th is when Georgia will host its state championships. Should Brock Vandegrift and its Prince Avenue Christian Wolverines be alive in the hunt, they would play on December the 28th, I believe. And then Brock could report to Georgia for bowl practices that fast. That's how quickly his senior year and senior season could go. Brock told me today his counselor told him, this was kind of a shaky statement, or at least a wow statement when Brock told me when he heard it. Brock said that his counselor told him he has 15 days left as a high school student at Prince Avenue Christian. And that was kind of one of those things are getting real there for Brock Vandegrift as he makes his way to the University of Georgia from Prince Avenue Christian in Bogart. And I will reiterate that things are very bright. The future looks very bright with a 5-star like Brock Vandegrift on his way to the University of Georgia. That's not a good way to end this program. If that's not a good way to draw that reluctant like away from you guys, hopefully I think we finally earned it there with that one. YouTube, hope you guys are doing great. Everybody have themselves a very great night. For Jeff Sintel, that's this guy right here. For Michael Carvel behind the glass, Connor Riley, Brandon Adams, BJ Sweeney, all of us at Dog Nation, we thank you for taking the time to visit with us another time on one of our Dog Nation programs brought to you by Kroger. This one is my show. It's called Before the Hedges, and I enjoyed having you guys there. See everybody later on the pages of DogNation.com.